I used to think betrayal looked like lipstick on a collar. A cliché, you know? Maybe a crumpled hotel receipt tucked into a coat pocket, or some lingering perfume that didn't belong. Turns out, betrayal's got way better choreography than that. In my case, it started with soup. Tuesday night. Nothing dramatic. Just me, a pot of homemade chicken tortilla soup, and a playlist I'd named Marriage Maintenance, Barry White, a little Otis Redding, that kind of vibe. I'd even lit a candle. Not because I'm romantic, but because the kitchen garbage had started to smell like something died in it, and then came back for round 2. Ashley was supposed to be home by 6. She texted at 6:45. Running late. Don't wait up, Red Heart. The heart emoji did a lot of heavy lifting, I'll give it that. But by 8:30, the soup had gone cold and my appetite had followed. I sat there at the dinner table, staring at the melted cheese floating in the bowl like it held secrets. I didn't know it then, but that night was my matchstick moment, the one spark that was about to burn down everything I thought I knew about my life. I wasn't always this suspicious, by the way. I used to be one of those guys who believed love was bulletproof if you kept showing up, kept choosing your person, day after day. I didn't check phones. I didn't snoop. I believed in trust the way kids believe in superheroes. But funny thing about trust, it's like a muscle. You don't use it right, it atrophies. And mine? Well, mine was starting to twitch. That night, I fell asleep on the couch with the TV still playing some documentary about penguins who mate for life. Irony was having a field day. She came in around midnight. I pretended to be asleep, which was a new thing for me. I used to jump up and help her with her bags, kiss her forehead, ask how her day was. This time, I kept my eyes shut and my ears wide open. She didn't tiptoe. She didn't apologize. She just dropped her keys on the counter and walked upstairs like this house was a hotel she was only occasionally fond of. I waited 10 minutes. Then I opened my eyes and stared at the ceiling. Something was wrong. Not just off. Wrong. And not the kind of wrong that fixes itself with a weekend trip and some deep conversation over wine and candles. No. This was the kind of wrong that's been simmering for months, maybe years, and had finally decided it was time to start screaming. I just didn't know how loud things were about to get. The next morning, Ashley was all smiles and dry shampoo. "You want eggs?" she asked, flipping through a magazine like the cover story wasn't How to Know When He's Cheating. "No thanks," I said, sipping coffee that tasted like guilt and overcompensation. "Did you have a good night?" She didn't flinch. "Oh, yeah, just meetings that ran late." Meetings. Classic. I watched her stir almond milk into her coffee with a little more force than necessary. That was new. Ashley used to float through mornings like she was auditioning for a Folgers commercial, soft robe, sleepy grin, half humming some 2000s R&B tune. Now, she stirred like the mug had wronged her. "Meetings at work?" I asked, carefully. She paused for a millisecond. Just enough to tell the truth, had to think twice. I nodded slowly. "Cool. You were with Danielle, then?" Another pause. This one was longer. "Oh, no. Danielle left early." "Ah," I said, dragging the word out like a detective in a buddy cop film. "So, just you and your team?" Her eyes flicked up to mine for a split second. A flash of something, annoyance? Guilt? Gas? "Babe," she said, putting her mug down, "why are you interrogating me? Is this, like, a new thing now?" That's the problem with liars. They always think you're the one acting weird. I smiled. "No interrogation. Just wondering who gets credit for keeping you out till midnight." She forced a laugh and grabbed her bag. "You're funny." I used to love when she said that. Now it just felt like a gentle shift toward the exit. After she left, I sat at the kitchen table for a long time, chewing on the same thought over and over. When did I become the stranger in my own marriage? I started retracing things. The late nights. The locked phone. The new perfume. The gym membership she never used for 10 years suddenly being swiped 4 times a week. And don't get me started on the lingerie tags I found in the trash, brand new, never worn around me. I'm not a genius, but I'm also not an idiot. You don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to know when someone's building a separate life, when they don't plan to include you in. Still, I wasn't going to accuse her. Not yet. I needed more than feelings. I needed facts. And fate, bless its petty little heart, was about to hand them to me on a silver platter. But first, I had to get through one more week of pretending. One more week of making small talk with a woman who once looked at me like I held the sky up, but now barely looked at me at all. The universe doesn't always whisper. Sometimes, it screams in all caps and hands you a receipt. It was a Thursday, ordinary as cold toast. I had taken the day off because Ashley said she had a strategy offsite. I figured I'd do something radical, like sit in my own living room without pretending not to notice my wife wasn't in love with me anymore. Around noon, I went to grab lunch at this Thai place we both loved, the kind of spot with paper menus and a soda machine older than our mortgage. I ordered 2 green curries out of muscle memory. Hers, no meat, extra basil. Mine, chicken, no spice. I was halfway through paying when the cashier, a sweet old guy with a comb-over that defied physics, asked, "You want to put it on the same card again?" I froze. "Same as what?" "Oh, never mind," he smiled. "You were just in here last week. Same booth, same order." "I wasn't," I said. He blinked. "Oh, must have been someone who looked like you." The lady said her husband loved the curry. My stomach tightened like it knew something before I did. I waited until he turned around and glanced at the receipt pile near the register. There it was, dated last Friday. 2 green curries, 1 sparkling water, 1 Thai iced tea, her drink, and the name scribbled across the top? Chase, paid. I just stood there, the bag of food in my hand, heart pounding like it was trying to warn me in Morse code. Chase, Ashley's colleague, her mentor, the guy who gets her. That same name she dropped a few weeks ago over dinner like it meant nothing. "I'll help you out," she said. "Chase knows people in the industry." What she didn't say was that Chase also apparently knew how she liked her tofu marinated. I walked out of the restaurant, food forgotten, receipt clutched in my hand like a confession. I sat in my car for 10 straight minutes, reading it over and over, hoping it would magically spell out something else. It didn't. That night, she came home smelling like vanilla and alibis. "How was the offsite?" I asked, my voice calm. "Too calm." She shrugged. "Productive. Learn anything new?" "Yeah," she said, kicking off her heels. "That we need more alignment across teams." I nodded. "You and Chase get aligned today?" She blinked. Quick. Controlled. But I caught it. A flicker of panic behind her lashes. "What's that supposed to mean?" she said. I held up the receipt, slow and surgical, like a surgeon showing a scalpel. She stared at it, then back at me, and she smiled. That smile. The one people wear when they know they've been caught, but also know it's too late for it to matter. "You went through my stuff?" "I ordered takeout," I said. "Your ghost showed up before I did." She dropped the smile. "So what, Logan? You're suddenly keeping tabs on me." "No," I said. "You just made it really easy to find the tabs myself." She sat on the edge of the couch like it was a courtroom bench. "I wasn't going to tell you yet. So there's something to tell." Silence. Then, "It's been going on for a while. I didn't mean for it to happen." The oldest line in the betrayal book. Right between "it just happened" and "you've changed." "I see," I said. "I didn't want to hurt you." "Well," I said, standing, "you really shouldn't have ordered the tea." And with that, I walked into the garage and screamed into a towel like a man who just watched his life rerouted by a receipt and a liar with good taste in curry. But here's the thing. That was the moment I stopped grieving and started planning. There's a strange calm that follows a nuclear moment. Not relief, not acceptance, more like standing in the eye of the storm and realizing you've got time to make a sandwich before the rest of the house gets flattened. That's what Friday felt like. Ashley had dropped the bomb, receipt confirmed, affair admitted, guilt deployed with mild enthusiasm, and then she went to bed like she'd filed a tax extension. She didn't cry. She didn't grovel. She didn't even bother closing the door all the way. Just slipped under the covers in our bed, the bed we bought together during a Labor Day sale and broke in before the mattress was cold. I stayed up in the living room, staring at the fireplace I never figured out how to turn on. It felt symbolic somehow. Decorative. Just like the life we built. That's when I decided I wouldn't confront her again. I'd already played that scene once. No need for a sequel. This wasn't a conversation anymore. This was a calculation. Ashley thought she'd caught me off guard. She had no idea I just found my balance. The next morning, she was all business. "I have a client dinner tonight," she said, buttering toast like she hadn't dropped a wrecking ball on our marriage 12 hours earlier. "Cool," I replied. "Need me to iron anything?" She hesitated. It was subtle, like someone tripping over their thoughts mid-step. "No, I'll manage." I watched her pack her gym bag. Same bag I bought her last Christmas. Back when I thought scented candles and new leggings could fix disinterest. Turns out, all I'd really gifted her was a more convenient place to stash the lies. After she left, I went to the garage not for tools, but for the filing cabinet she always forgot about. I dusted off a manila folder labeled House, Warranty Docs, flipped through some useless papers, and found what I was really looking for: the spare key to her locked desk drawer. The one she said was for work stuff. Funny thing about secrets, they always come with a lock. Inside the drawer, I found a leather-bound planner. Black, sleek, and filled with more betrayals than a Shakespeare play. There were dates, initials, little smiley faces beside certain meetings. One entry read CD, cabin weekend face-blowing kiss dot. I didn't even need to ask who that was. Chase Donovan. The man with the protein shake smile and enough smugness to fill a blimp. I took pictures of every page. Then I put the planner back exactly as I'd found it. One of us still respected details. Then came the laptop. I wasn't a hacker, but I wasn't helpless either. I'd worked in systems support before I climbed into corporate finance. A few guesses and one saved password later, I was in. Her email was enlightening. Dozens of exchanges with Chase, some under his work account, others from a personal one that read like it belonged to a man who wore turtlenecks unironically. Photos, plans, private jokes. My favorite was the subject line. Do we tell him? Grimacing face. To which he'd replied, only when he's no longer useful. I stared at that email for a long time. Not out of shock at this point. Nothing shocked me, but out of a kind of admiration. That level of arrogance takes practice. And Chase? He'd clearly been rehearsing. I forwarded every email to a burner account I'd made the night before. Then I opened her text messages and confirmed what I already knew. Ashley was fluent in betrayal. And apparently fond of sending memes about bad boys who ruin your life. How poetic. I didn't confront her. Instead, I spent the weekend playing the role of the blissfully clueless husband. I cleaned the gutters. I trimmed the hedges. I made a grocery list with almond milk and kale, two things I never touched, but she loved. On Sunday, we had brunch with her parents. Her mom gave me the usual once-over, like I was a used car she regretted helping finance. You look tired, Logan, she said, sipping her mimosa like it was laced with criticism. Long week, I said. Some things I used to trust just aren't holding up anymore. Ashley shot me a warning look. I smiled back. Warm. Harmless. Dangerous. On Monday, I went to work and scheduled a meeting with HR. No complaints, no theatrics, just a simple request to transfer some of my retirement portfolio into liquid assets. Divorce was never mentioned. Why spoil the surprise? That afternoon, I met with a real estate agent. We bought this house together, but her name wasn't on the deed. Something I suggested back when we were dividing responsibilities. Financial things were always my department. She didn't mind. Just handle it, babe, she said. You're better at that stuff. Yes. Yes, I am. By Wednesday, the pieces were in place. I had screenshots, printed emails, phone logs, calendar entries, and even a few recordings courtesy of an old baby monitor I reprogrammed. No cameras, no invasions, just audio. The monitor sat in my home office for years, gathering dust. Now it was my co-conspirator. One recording in particular stood out. Ashley, you know, sometimes I think he knows. He's just too weak to do anything. Chase, then let him know. What's he going to do? Cry into his spreadsheets. They laughed. That was the moment I stopped feeling pain. It was gone. All of it. Like it got up, packed a suitcase, and left. In its place was clarity. Not rage. Not even revenge. Just purpose. That night, Ashley came home late again. This time, she didn't even offer an excuse. She dropped her bag on the floor and said, "Don't wait up." I looked up from the couch and smiled. Wouldn't dream of it. She paused. You're being weird. I nodded. It's been a weird week. She studied me for a second too long, then disappeared upstairs. I didn't follow. I sat there, phone in hand, and scheduled one final appointment. Not with a lawyer, not with a therapist, but with someone who owed me a favor, a specialist. Because if Ashley and Chase thought they were playing chess, they were about to learn something very important. I don't play. I build the board. Revenge doesn't need a stage. Sometimes, all it needs is timing, paperwork, and the ability to smile while knowing you're holding a match behind your back. I spent the rest of the week living like I was on autopilot. Work, gym, dinner, sleep, except everything I did was surgical now. No wasted movements. Just quiet progress, inch by inch. Ashley floated through the house like she was already a ghost. I used to track her footsteps out of habit, the familiar clicks of her heels on the hardwood, the way she'd hum while brushing her hair. But now, every sound she made was just a countdown. By Friday morning, She was packing for a conference in Seattle. Translation: a weekend with Chase at some overpriced Airbnb, sipping organic wine and role-playing as star-crossed lovers who just happened to steamroll a marriage along the way. Need a ride to the airport? I asked, sipping my coffee like I didn't already know she booked at 10 a.m. Uber. She blinked. You don't have to. I want to. She hesitated, then nodded. Okay, thanks. The way she said it, like I was some loyal Labrador. It almost made me laugh. Almost. In the car, we made small talk. Music played softly. She scrolled her phone while I watched traffic. Then, about 5 minutes from the terminal, she spoke without looking up. You're being really chill about everything lately. It's surprising. I grinned. Would you prefer I burn the house down? She gave a tight laugh. No. I thought you'd freak out more. I glanced at her. Why? Because you cheated? Or because you think I can't live without you? She didn't answer, but the silence was enough. I dropped her off at departures with a suitcase, a smile, and a have fun at your conference. She kissed my cheek, out of habit, not affection, and disappeared through the sliding doors like she was walking into a new life. And maybe she was. She just didn't realize I had packed her bags with TNT. While she was boarding a flight to Fantasyland, I was meeting a man named Brantley Knox. Yes, that's his real name. I checked. Brantley is what you get when you cross a private investigator with a petty cousin and a chess master. Former cybersecurity analyst, current collector of secrets. He owed me a favor after I helped him out of a stock portfolio lawsuit a few years back. This about your wife? He asked, flipping open a leather notebook before I even sat down. Yeah, I said. And her boyfriend. Brantley tapped his pen. Give me 3 days. I'll have everything. Photos, messages, GPS if needed. I already have most of it, I said. I just need the hard-to-get stuff. Where he works. What he drives. If he's got a wife. A dog. A parole officer. Brantley nodded. You want to wreck him? I shook my head. I want to ruin him. Quietly. Permanently. I want to be the reason he starts triple-checking locks at night. He smiled. Now that's a fun client. Back home, I cleaned out the garage. Not metaphorically. I mean I physically cleaned it. Organized tools. Labeled boxes. Donated the elliptical that hadn't been touched since Obama's first term. Why? Because I was about to make that garage the most useful room in the house. See, here's something Ashley never paid attention to. Real estate. She didn't care about titles or zoning or where the mortgage statements went. That was Logan stuff. She just picked throw pillows and argued with the Amazon driver when they left packages sideways. That meant she never saw the quiet paperwork I filed last month. The change in trust documents. The name that now sat next to mine on the deed wasn't hers. She didn't even know I had taken out an equity loan in my name alone. All she knew was the kitchen had new tile and her car still had gas. By Saturday night, while Ashley and Chase were sipping organic Cabernet and trying to convince themselves they were misunderstood romantics, I was on my laptop, scheduling emails. Not rage notes. Not dramatic, all-caps monologues. Just facts. One email to HR at Ashley's office. Anonymous tip, of course. Attachments included. Time-stamped photos of her and Chase kissing outside a team-building seminar. Another email to Chase's employer. Same attachments, plus screenshots of internal emails flagged as professional misconduct. Then came the third one, my favorite. An email to Chase's wife. Brantley found her on day 2. Her name was Natalie. Pilates instructor, 2 kids, an Etsy business. Looked like the kind of woman who color codes calendars and owns matching pajama sets for Christmas. I sent her everything. All of it. No note. No introduction. Just a file titled, In Case You Were Wondering. Sunday evening rolled around like it always does. Quiet. Slow. Full of dread for normal people. I made dinner. Chicken, rice, and the salad Ashley always pretended to like. I set the table for 2, poured water, dimmed the lights. At exactly 6:13 p.m., the garage door opened. She walked in, suitcase in hand, hair tousled, eyes tired. Hey, she said, surprised by the smell of food. You cooked? Of course, I smiled. How was the conference? She sat down slowly, like someone waiting for a trap to snap shut. It was good. Long. You learn anything? She chewed for a moment. Mostly just that I'm tired of pretending. I nodded. Same. She looked up. What does that mean? I stood, grabbed my wine glass, and raised it slightly. It means the pretending part is officially over. Her brow furrowed. Logan. I know, I said. I've known. She swallowed hard. How much? Enough to send photos to your boss, Chase's boss, and Chase's wife. I think Natalie was the name. Her fork clattered. You're lying. I pulled out my phone and showed her the sent folder. Ashley's face dropped so fast it could have registered on the Richter scale. You can't do that. That's… what? Unfair? Immature? Petty? Her mouth opened, but no words came out. I sat back down, calm as the moon. You lit the match, Ash, I said. I just fanned the flames. There's a silence people don't talk about. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that settles in a room like fog after a bomb's gone off. It doesn't scream. It just lingers, thick, suffocating, undeniable. That's what filled the kitchen after I showed Ashley those emails. She didn't speak. She couldn't. Her eyes darted from my phone to the table to the floor and back again, like she was trying to find a trapdoor out of the moment. I didn't mean for this to happen, she whispered. Yeah, I said. You keep saying that. I think it's your catchphrase at this point. She flinched. Good. I leaned back in my chair, arms crossed, watching her unravel one breath at a time. You don't understand, she tried. It wasn't just about him. I gave her a slow blink. You're right. It wasn't. It was about you. She opened her mouth to respond, then stopped. Truth has that effect. It doesn't yell. It just sits there, daring you to lie to its face again. She began, then trailed off, gripping the edge of the table like she was afraid of floating away. You changed. The classic pivot. When cornered, point to a mirror and say it's broken. You mean I stopped pretending everything was perfect while you started collecting side quests? That shut her up. For a full minute, she stared at her plate like the kale salad might offer a solution. Then she stood up and grabbed her phone. I need to call Chase. I smiled. That might be difficult. She froze. What did you do? Nothing criminal, I said, calmly sipping my water. But I'd imagine he's having a very intense conversation with his wife right about now. And possibly his HR department. Her face went pale. Logan, do you realize what you've done? Yeah, I said. I defended myself. You exposed everything. No, I corrected. You exposed everything. I just turned on the lights. Ashley didn't sleep in our bedroom that night. She stayed in the guest room, door closed, probably texting a crisis into the void. I didn't care. I turned off my phone, made some tea, and read a book I'd been meaning to finish for 6 years. At around 2 a.m., I heard her crying. Not the loud, sobbing kind. The kind you muffle into a pillow so no one knows you're human. I didn't go to her. Because here's the thing, I wasn't angry anymore. I was ahead. By Monday morning, the fallout had gone nuclear. Chase's wife, Natalie, posted a photo on Instagram with the caption, "When he cheats, I go shopping. New shoes, new locks, new lawyer. Hashtag thanks Ashley." Petty? Sure. But poetic. Ashley's company had put her on leave. Chase? Officially terminated. Apparently, fraternizing with direct reports while using the company travel card wasn't on brand for the firm's leadership team. She stumbled into the kitchen wearing sunglasses, which was hilarious since there was no sun inside the house. I need to talk to you, she said. I didn't even look up from my laptop. So talk. Her hands trembled slightly. Everything's falling apart. I don't know where to go. I tilted my head. Go? Why would you go anywhere? You live here, remember? She looked at me, confused. Wait, you're not kicking me out? I smiled. No, Ashley, I'm not kicking you out. Her shoulders dropped with relief. Thank you. I know it's going to take time, but maybe we can now. I held up a finger. I'm not kicking you out because you don't live here anymore. She blinked. What? I swiveled my laptop around, showing her the email I just sent. As of this morning, the mortgage, title, and deed are all under my name only. I've also filed a formal request to remove you from joint residency, which the state permits under breach of contract. Breach of… Logan, are you serious? As a heart attack, I said. You see, when I suggested putting everything in my name years ago, it was to protect us. But now it's protecting me. She stepped back like I'd slapped her. You planned this. No, I corrected. You gave me the inspiration. I just ran with it. But I have nowhere to go. I stood and walked over, stopping just shy of her personal space. Chase has a condo. Oh wait, maybe not anymore. Natalie probably changed the locks. I'm sure you'll figure it out. You're good at improvising, right? She looked like she wanted to scream. Or collapse. Or both. I handed her a plain white envelope. Here's a list of extended stay hotels nearby. First week's on me. After that, you're on your own. Her voice cracked. I gave you the best years of my life. And I gave you mine, I said, leveling my voice. The difference is, I didn't waste yours. By Wednesday, she was gone. Packed 2 suitcases and left without saying goodbye. No dramatic final words. No rom-com style tears. Just the soft sound of wheels rolling over hardwood. I stood by the window and watched her Uber pull away. And that was it. 13 years of marriage, reduced to a trailing taillight. But here's the thing. I didn't feel broken. I felt clean. Like a man who just stepped out of the rainstorm without a single drop on his shoulders. People think revenge is about getting even. It's not. Revenge is about reclaiming the part of yourself someone tried to steal. Ashley took my trust, my dignity, my peace. So I took back everything else. The house, the narrative, the power. Now I'm rebuilding. Slower, smarter, better. And the next time I let someone into my life, they'll come in through the front door, not the back seat of someone else's car. You'd think people would take a hint when the drama ends. But no, this wasn't some Netflix miniseries with a skip recap option. People wanted details. They called, they texted, they invited me out for coffee just to talk, which we all know was code for spill the tea. My neighbor Dave, who hadn't said more than nice lawn in 5 years, suddenly became real chatty. Tough break, huh? He said over the hedge. You doing okay? Yeah, I replied, trimming a rosebush. The trash took itself out. He gave a laugh that trailed off a little too quickly. Ashley's friends were split into 2 camps. The ones who ghosted me, loyal to her until the next group chat implosion, and the ones who reached out under the radar. She was always kind of restless, one said in a hushed voice. We wondered when she'd cross the line. Restless. That's one word for it. Like describing an earthquake as a little shaky. Meanwhile, I went back to work, built some muscle, started hiking again. At first, people walked on eggshells around me like I was a grenade with the pin halfway out. But the thing they didn't get? I wasn't dangerous. I was free. 2 months after Ashley moved out, I got a letter in the mail. A handwritten envelope, no return address. Inside, a wedding invitation. Chase and Ashley. Yep, apparently. True love can bloom even on scorched earth. The invite was printed on fancy cream cardstock with golden trim like they were royalty instead of 2 people who deserved each other in the worst way. I laughed for a solid 5 minutes. Then I RSVP'd. Not with a yes or no. I sent back the response card with 1 sentence scribbled in red ink. You'll have each other. That's punishment enough. I didn't go to the wedding, but I did run into Chase's ex-wife Natalie a week later at the gym. She looked 10 pounds lighter and 10 years happier. Hey, she said with a wry smile, sipping a smoothie. Heard they're registered at divorce court. We shared a quiet high five. No further words needed. I spent the 3rd month alone in the house. Not lonely. Alone. There's a difference. I learned to love the sound of silence. I repainted the guest room. Got rid of her accent pillows. Started cooking again. Not for anyone else, just me. And for the first time in years, I stopped walking on eggshells. One morning, I took a hike up the ridge behind our neighborhood. Brought coffee, sat on a rock, and watched the sun climb over the valley. I thought about all the energy I'd wasted trying to keep someone who didn't want to stay. And I realized something that felt like a revelation disguised as common sense. If you have to beg someone to love you, it's not love. It's leverage. Ashley never wanted love. She wanted someone who stayed put while she wandered. And me? I was done staying put for anyone but myself. 6 months later, I got one final message from Ashley. It was short, measured, probably rehearsed. I just want you to know I'm sorry for how it ended. I didn't handle it well. I hope you're okay. I still think about what we had. I stared at the screen for a long moment. Then I did what any self-respecting man would do. I didn't respond. Because some goodbyes don't need closure. Some chapters don't deserve a sequel. And some people, they only look back when they've burned every bridge ahead.